Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're doing a recap and review of Married at First Sight Unfiltered, what happened in Vegas. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash that like button and also drop a comment down in the comment section below, because I do like to engage with my viewers and also the subscribers. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So this is a brand new episode of Married at First Sight Unfiltered, where Jamie is with Brianna, Paige, and Virginia. And of course, Paige and Brianna are back again, and this is Virginia's first time. So they dive right head first into the honeymoons, and she says it takes a minute to get up to the speed of routine. And this one is being referred to with regards to Virginia because of the scene that her and her husband had in regards to getting dressed and getting ready and trying to coordinate that all. So this is where Eric is talking about her curling her hair and getting ready to go to the pool. And, you know, she said, what's the problem with that? I mean, I don't have no problem curling my hair and getting my thoughts together before going to the pool. And he said, well, we'll see about that one. And then they get into talking about the time that it takes for her to get dressed and how if they're going to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, he's going to tell her to be ready at 6. And she was like, you might as well tell me to be ready at 4. So Jamie, of course, agrees with the time needed when getting dressed. And, you know, they joke about it. But Jamie said it really seems like you and your husband have banter. Is that something that you are hoping for or hoping to have? And Virginia said definitely. He's a very goofy person, especially if it's just us. We have a level of comfortability, and we're lucky to be similar in that we're getting ready and it's just something playful in that scene. And then it shifts off to the conversation with Brianna and Paige on the opinion of Virginia and Eric. And Paige says that, you know, it seems like they have a great balance and they're the definition of yin and yang. She's more fun-loving and outgoing. He's more reserved. They definitely balance each other out and they're cute together. Jamie asked Brianna the same thing about her connection with Vincent, and she said that, you know, he don't have any quirks so far, that, you know, she joke a lot, but she still don't know if he does. That she'll find out pretty soon. So now Jamie shifts back to Virginia and talk about the age difference between them, which of course is 8 years, and whether or not it's a concern to her. And she said that they're definitely learning about each other. We're kind of a bit in different phases of our lives at this point, and that the age gap itself isn't scary, just kind of some differences that we have. So, you know, sometimes it's something that, you know, we have to get through. And then, of course, Jamie talks to Brianna about the situation where we see the scene about them talking about kids and moving into a high-rise condo. And we all remember how that conversation went because, you know, it was a house versus a condo. And then that's where it came up about kids and needing space and everything like that. And, you know, they had a different idea of when to start having children. And this is where we remember in this conversation that with Brianna, you know, the conversation about kids and when to have them, she said it was a little odd because she felt it was a little bit too soon because it only had been just a few days. And she said that in her confessional. So Jamie asked Brianna about that conversation. And she said it was kind of odd because we did just match so far. He doesn't know how I feel about having kids and my fears. And Jamie asked her, well, what are some of those fears that you have? And Brianna says that she has high blood pressure and high cholesterol. It's genetic. And she heard of all of the horror stories that come along with that when trying to deliver a child. Now, it doesn't deter her, but it actually, you know, she wants 3 or 4 kids, but there's a fear there. And so then it shifted to Virginia. And again, there's an age gap with them of 8 years, talking about having kids and what her thoughts are with regards to having kids with Eric and her timeline. And, Virginia said that it's definitely a fear of hers. He's been pretty open that he wants them sooner rather than later. And it scares him that she's not quite ready. And, she doesn't necessarily have a timeline on it. But when I need to be ready, I'll be ready. And I think that age gap is going to come into play with this. But she's not sure whether it's going to really be a big issue. So then, of course, Jamie asked Paige about her desire and her timeline on having kids. And Paige said her desire to have kids were within a year or two. But she said, actually, ironically, she has health issues as well. And her doctor said that it's better for her to have kids sooner than later. So it's important for her applying for the show to be matched with somebody who has the desire to have kids sooner than later. So, of course, that's where her thoughts were with that. So Jamie now shifted back to Brianna about not having kids now, but can she envision having them at all with Vincent? And she said, yes, I can definitely envision that I want to be a mom. I don't want to be an old mom either, but she can see having a little princess and him being a good dad. So it shifts over to the scene where Paige is learning about, the possibility of him now being a father of a child with someone else. And we remember what that scene was like. He pulled her in the bathroom, offline to take off the mics and to tell her. And of course, she felt like everything is being taken away from her. Jamie asked Paige what went through her mind when Chris first told her about the ex-fiancé pregnancy. She said she literally had a moment. Part of her was dying inside. She was like, oh my gosh, we already had an attraction issue and now we have another big hurdle. And I'm like, everything that I want is legitimately being taken away from me. And, we all remember what that scene was like. And she said exactly that, everything is being taken away from her in this moment with regards to the revelation of, what we saw in the episode about that, about the fact that there is a baby on the way by his ex. And then, of course, Brianna's take on it was, that's rough. I mean, that's a lot for Paige to take on. Paige is so strong, and how she reacts. But I'm not sure how I would have reacted, but I know it wouldn't have been the same. And for Virginia, the question was asked for her as well on what her response was. And Virginia said the clip was hard to watch. We weren't there to see the immediate reaction. We put our heart and soul in the process. I wouldn't have handled it the same way Paige would have. I would have definitely had some choice words to say. Paige is so cool and mild-mannered, but apparently I am not. And Jamie asked Paige, how are you and Chris going to resolve this? And she said, with open and honest communication and being transparent about what our expectations are within the marriage. But then a new baby is on the way and you're like, now you have two duties as a husband and a father. So just making sure it ends up in an alignment and that you firm on those things. And, it's really essential for us to actually get through this process. So then Jamie switched gears and it puts us on the attention of the fact of how dicey things got between Virginia and Eric during the conversation at the pool. So as you guys remember in the previous episode, it was the whole conversation about guy friends, and Virginia states that she didn't agree necessarily with some of the aspects that Eric has and certain rules that guys and gals cannot be friends. And, of course, he said 100% somebody wanted to sleep with you in that group. And she said, you can't verify that that's 100%. And Eric was like, I can say a guy and girl can never be friends. And so it switches back to that. And Jamie asked Virginia, do you feel like Eric was trying to push your boundaries? And Virginia said, definitely. That's how I felt. We're still getting to know each other. And it does feel like that there may be an issue that he might have had with someone in his past with dating, that they had guy friends. So it's, it's definitely something worrisome. But, because I don't want him to ever be worried about that. And then the question, was asked by Paige about the circumstances. And Paige says, I have a lot of guy friends too. And that would have been a personal issue for me. And to be honest, obviously there has to be some boundaries now that you're married. So I definitely, felt understandable. With time and trust is built, maybe this will change the views. Jamie loves the stance on this, and the fact that she's sticking to it. And of course, Brianna was like, I love it. To the fact that, Virginia's basically going to stand on her, her own boundaries when it comes to that. And the fact that she want to ingratiate the friends with him, I think that's an awesome thing to do. So as they were switching over to a commercial break, Jamie says Sin City is not over yet. And that's when we hear Paige say, yeah, Sin City, that's probably what happened. The devil was there, and everybody was cracking up. So, I like to see that comedic side of Paige, because we see her as so quiet and mild-mannered. So now we're back, and again, she talks about what happened in Vegas does not stay in Vegas, and this is where it switches to the scene where Brianna and Vincent talks about the fact that they did not go out when everybody else did, and they actually consummated their marriage. And, Brianna was like, yeah, he's a keeper. And Jamie was like, yeah, that's good and all, but can you describe what happened in the moments leading up to this? Like, what made you so ready to consummate the marriage? And Brianna said we were joking around, like talking, one thing led to another, and boom. And of course, they laugh all about that. And then Paige was also asked by Jamie, that about the fact that they consummated the marriage on the wedding night. And looking back, do you wish that you had waited? And she said, yeah, 100%. I think we should have waited. I think that level of vulnerability and trust, when you get to know each other, just make physical intimacy that much better. And then the question shifted to Virginia and their intimacy. And she said that for her, Eric has been, of course, touchy-feely. We've been lovey-dovey. We've been one of the most PDA type of couple out of the whole group. But we want to take the time to really get to know each other. And she also shifted back to Brianna feeling emotionally connected with Vincent. And she said, yeah, I really do. Now in this moment, I feel like it's really, really good, and I really, really like him. So then Jamie shifts on to the dinner that both Chris and Paige had, where Chris laid all his cards out on the table, and whether Paige decided to forgive him because of everything that he was saying, about it didn't matter that the girl was pregnant. You're my wife. Nobody comes before you. And she said, I'm not trying to get emotional, and all I say is you're amazing, smart, intelligent black woman. I'll support you in whatever decision you make. If you stay, if you go, I'm going to support you. I might chase after you, but if you stay, let's do it. And so, of course, Jamie asked about that scene, and Paige was like, yeah, it was nice hearing all those sweet things that Chris had to say. And it was calming her nerves and make him more malleable to commit myself to the process. And Jamie asked her, what does your head say versus your heart? And she said, two other people are being brought into this marriage. Essentially, I want to make sure that there isn't any lingering feelings with this woman that he's about to essentially raise a child with. And Virginia comment on the situation is that she's glad that he took the initiative, but her biggest thing is actions speak louder than words. And if she was in Paige's shoes, she would want to see action. And so, of course, the question is, taking what he's saying is genuine. And of course, Brianna said that he's trying to sweet talk Paige, and, sweet talking, yeah, a little bit. And I see where he's coming from, but like, you need to at this point. Then Jamie asked Paige after the conversation with Chris, are you more persuaded to stay with him? And she said, yeah, I think it's definitely eased my nerves. It's nice to hear him say, essentially, I'm committed, and now it's really his chance to hold himself accountable to these things. And you said it, and I really hope that you embody it as well. And so that's her take. She's choosing to see the process through with her husband. And they're talking about the highs and lows of the honeymoon. And one of those things is Chris breaking to the group. Of course, Virginia and Eric being late at this particular scene where about the ex-fiance and the baby, and Virginia saying, is it yours? And reading the room is something Jamie was asking about in this particular scene, whether or not this was a good idea to ask this question. So Jamie asked, Virginia, what was it like watching it back? And she said, we were completely late, to know because of the prior engagement we have. So we literally came in, had no idea of anything and what was happening. We wanted them to feel supported, and it didn't go the way that we expected. We both really didn't know what to say. Obviously, just kept saying the wrong things, and it wasn't helping the situation at all. So we definitely could have handled the situation better, both on our part. Jamie said in hindsight 2020, it would have been just as an awkward situation if she was there. And Paige was asked, what do you think of this clip? And, she was laughing, and she said, I felt like everybody was probably thinking the same similar sentiment. It's just always, I was like, oh my, I haven't even asked my husband that myself at this point. And we haven't had that kind of dialogue. I don't think her intentions was bad, nor Eric's, but I can feel Chris's energy, and, it was a lot. And then the vibes, according to Brianna, said, it was awkward, to be honest. And Virginia was trying to make light of the situation and ended up going sour. You just don't know what to say. And Paige at this point was asked, what is keeping you in your marriage? And she said, with the help of Jesus, honestly, this is a lot of information. She's been under some stress. She's trying not to be checked out because she is fully committed to her husband. This is what she signed up for. But it's not quite all of what I signed up for. But, I'm trying to show a lot of greater grace and favor because we are all not perfect. And I'm just trying to be supportive as a wife, as I know how to be at this point. And Jamie told Paige, I have to say it again, you show more grace than I could have ever shown. So my hats go off to you. And can we just say how beautiful these ladies look tonight? So I'm looking forward to next week and next episode of Unfiltered. And until then, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon.